Welcome everyone. Hey, it is Thomas, and I'm looking to do a second try at this video because the last time I did it, I kind of rambled on, and then at the end of it, I had technical difficulties. So, we're talking today about looking at single family resale homes and talking about value and talking about doing upgrades and talking about what does or doesn't add value. And I'm going to give you some ways to think about it. And when you're looking at doing upgrades, whether it's doing upgrades specifically to sell the house or to increase your enjoyment of the house. Just different ways to think about the upgrades and whether you're getting your most bang for your buck. So, first thing we're going to talk about is what adds actual monetary value versus what ends up being a deciding factor. So, a deciding factor would be something that is just kind of an added bonus when a buyer is comparing your homes to other homes on the market. So, what we're talking about there is just basically condition and how well you're keeping care of the house, or just some small little thing that just is in the back of the buyer's head. Like, for example, if you're looking at two different 3-bed, 2-bath ranches in the same school district, and one of them just had a newer appliance package, not necessarily clearly better, but that ends up being the deciding factor because the kitchen is really important to that buyer. And that's why they end up buying that home over the other. So doing upgrades like that end up being deciding factors aren't necessarily bad because it more than likely means your home will sell quicker, and the more things like that you add that make your home sell quicker, that also means that there's a better chance that you're going to get multiple offers, which in turn increases the monetary value. But monetary value would be more so something that clear cut adds value to the home. So let's look at major pricing factors that any real estate agent would talk to you about, or any appraiser would talk to you about when looking at your house. So, location is a major pricing factor. The amount of finished square footage you have is a major pricing factor. Finished square footage above grade adds more value than adding finished square footage in the basement. But at the end of the day, any added finished square footage adds value to your house 100%, no questions asked. Home style, there's not necessarily home styles where it comes to comparing split foyers to split levels to ranches to 2 stories to 1.5 stories. There's not necessarily one that has more value, but remember, when you're looking at your home value compared to everyone else in your market, to its safest to compare your home to similar styles of yours. So if you have a ranch home, compare your home to other ranch homes when you can. Bathrooms, the amount of bathrooms that you have, each added bathroom definitely adds value. The thing to keep in mind with bathrooms and bedrooms is they definitely add value, but each consecutive one you add on adds less value. So think about it this way: if you're living a 3-bed, 1-bath ranch and you add a second bathroom, that adds a ton of value. It adds a ton of convenience. If you have more than 2 people living in your house, that extra bathroom ends up being very, very important. But if you're in that same 3-bed, 1-bath ranch and you go from 2 to 3, from 1 to 2, awesome. That's a lot of added value. If you go from 2 to 3, the added value doesn't really add as much value to you. And it's the same thing with bedrooms. If you have a family that can fit just fine in a 3-bedroom and you add another bedroom, does that add as much value? So that's something to keep in mind. With bedrooms, lot size, obviously, bigger lot you have, better quality of lot you have adds value. Adding a garage definitely adds value. And I'm just going to toss this in really quick here, and I'll probably talk about it again later. But I'm not going to throw out specific numbers because so much of this depends on your location. If you want to know specific dollar values, reach out to me and I could give you an estimate of what this upgrade would do dollar value wise. Home condition definitely adds value. If you're talking about a home that would rate at more of the poor, below average, and comparing it to a home that is above average or excellent condition wise, there's definitely an added value in that. And then quality of finish. The biggest thing with resale homes that I notice when walking through that buyers point out is, what's the quality of finish in the kitchen, what's the quality of finish in the main bathroom, and what's the quality of finish just kind of overall in the house and stuff like that. So yep, just like I said here, disclaimer, this all depends on neighborhood and quality of finish of the upgrades of the type of stuff that you are doing. The biggest thing that I don't want people to get confused about is when doing upgrades, when we're talking about upgrades, it really is dependent on your neighborhood, because if you're doing an upgrade that isn't quote unquote standard in your neighborhood, it might not add as much value as you expect because you're doing something that is outside of the norm in the market that you're in. So the reason I did this post originally is I put out a Facebook status asking people if they were curious about upgrades that they were thinking about doing would or wouldn't add value. And I wanted to answer some of those directly on this video. So Tyler reached out and asked, do fences, do decks, and stamped concrete add value? No questions asked. Fences will typically add value. I would guess that a majority of people that pay someone to install a fence for them, worst case scenario, the money washes. You get exactly how much money you put into it. I would guess the same thing for decks, but like I said, it's neighborhood dependent. So if you happen to live in a lower price neighborhood, the price you pay to um, add that fence might not be a direct correlation with how much you spend to do it. But in most cases, any neighborhood I can think of in the Des Moines area, you're going to get your money back on fences and decks. Stamp concrete. This is one of those things that I talk about as neighborhood dependent. It's definitely a more of a deciding factor type of thing. If I was personally looking at homes and I was looking at 3 homes that were all in my price range and they were all really, really close to each other, and I noticed one of them had stamped concrete, that is definitely something that would stick out in my mind. It would be a plus, but I don't think I would necessarily say, oh, wow, that house had stamped concrete on it, so I'm willing to pay $2,000 more, you know? And if I was doing a market analysis for that home, I don't think that that's something I would necessarily point out and adjust money wise for having stamped concrete. What are the biggest and worst things you could do in terms of self improvement? So Jared reached out with this question. So not specifically asking about an upgrade, but he was asking about what should you do and what should you not do. So I just kind of tossed out 3 things that I firmly believe in if you're looking to list your home, and just livability of the home too. So if anything mechanical doesn't work, flat out fix it. Getting your home in quote unquote move in ready shape. So when a realtor says it's move in ready shape, that means that they don't think that there's anything that you would have to fix to make the home livable. So they're talking about the HVAC working, they're talking about the roof being in good condition, talking about it not having water problems. Um, and they're talking about everything being finished. Now, the finish quality may not be perfect, but they're talking about everything being finished. Generally, and I can share extra reports for you if you're curious in this, but generally people see a really good rate of return for doing flooring, trim, paint, and basic landscaping upgrades. They see a really, really high area of return for that. So the landscaping I kind of want to focus on really quick. Actually, we'll answer that question later, but higher rate of return, getting new flooring in there, getting new trim in there, and painting the place up, and then cleaning up the landscaping, especially in the front yard, those you'll really see a higher area of return. 3 most important rooms for buyers. I already mentioned this earlier, but you're talking about kitchen, primary bathroom, and primary bedroom. If those are all in good shape, or if they're upgraded beyond what they're normally seeing in that price point, buyers will flock to your house, pretty much guaranteed. Those are the rooms that they're spending the most time in, and they're generally the most important to pretty much every buyer. Not every buyer is the same, but just in general. A tiled shower in the primary bathroom, is it worth the extra cost? Tiled showers are awesome. They're a lot easier to clean. They're going to be way, way more durable, but this ends up mostly being a deciding factor, a lot like stamped concrete would be. Um, unless you're going to want to do it if you're going to be building or upgrading in a neighborhood where a tile shower is the norm. So if you're going looking at a new construction neighborhood that happens to be in that higher price point, and pretty much every new construction there has a tile shower in the primary bathroom, you're going to want to do it just to, I hate to say keep up with the Joneses, but if you like it and you're thinking about doing it, do it to keep up with the neighborhood and have that tile shower, and you won't regret it. That's a really nice upgrade to have. Solar panels. So this is kind of an interesting one. If solar panels are financed, they really don't add value. It's another loan on the house a majority of the times. When you sell the house, you have to negotiate um, how it is gonna get transferred. Does the seller have to pay off all the debt? And basically give the buyer a free solar panel, that they're not paying that much more to get that money back on that solar panel. So a lot of sellers that have to finance the solar panel generally don't see the added value. Now, if they are purchased outright and you don't have to worry about any of that negotiation, you're going to save in your monthly bills a ton while you own it. Um, and there are some buyers that are energy conscious. Solar panels still don't have a very high adoption rate, but there are some buyers out there that would definitely see the bonuses, and you don't have to worry about the whole financing part of it. It could add a little bit of value, but in most cases, I see it doesn't add the amount of value that people would sometimes think. So nice landscaping, like the super extra stuff. So curb appeal adds a ton of value, but it will 100% be a deciding factor if you're talking about the upgraded type of landscaping, crazy elaborate type of stuff. When I'm talking about doing landscaping add value to your house, I'm more talking about just, hey, making sure it's weeded, making sure your grass lines are clean, making sure you have some fresh mulch put down or fresh rock. Just make sure it looks clean and maintained and not like a mess, like an immediate project that the buyer has to do. That will add an extreme amount of value to you, but everything you're doing that's kind of an upgrade on top of that base level work doesn't add as much value as people would think. Advice when making upgrades, ask yourself these questions. Does it add value to your home? If that's something that you're important about, just be aware, yes or no, does it add value? How much longer will I be living in the house? So if you're thinking about doing a full remodel and an upgrade and you're not doing it just because you're selling the home, think about how much longer you're living in the house and how much your enjoyment of the house will go up because of that upgrade. Because you have to remember, as much as people, real estate agents, and people want to talk about how your home is an investment, the biggest thing about your home is it's the place that you live. And the more that you enjoy it, the longer you'll possibly live in that house. That's where you truly win in the real estate game, is buying and holding onto a home, because you build equity and those returns compound on top of each other every year, and you're paying your principal down on your loan. That's when people generally start to win, as the longer they're staying in the home. So if you're doing an upgrade that's going to increase the enjoyment of the home for you, do it. No questions asked. Just do it. Well, making the upgrade. Yep, I already said that. Am I over upgrading for my neighborhood? So this is definitely something to think about too. And I've seen scenarios like this in people in homes that they upgraded to the nines, quartz countertops. They did awesome new cabinets on it, soft close across the board, but they're in a neighborhood that's just not standard. And the disappointing thing that those people figure out is they don't quite get a one-to-one return on those upgrades. So it's just something to think about. Hey, Barb, thank you for liking the video. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to message me. I made a 13-minute video here, and I hope it kind of got your wheels turning and kind of got you starting to think. But this is just kind of a conversation starter, because I can talk about this forever, and it's more productive if I answer questions about your specific house. So reach out to me if you have questions. I hope everyone's having a great day, and I hope everyone's ready for a great Memorial weekend. And thank you guys. Have a good one.